So if you would please welcome Representative Warren Davidson.
Yeah, thanks for the short intro. I don't think we've put those stories online anywhere. And a lot of times people read them off, and I think my mom wrote the first bio, so it's all glowing and everything good. But it is really an honor to join you all, and I can't believe I'm in the presence of this many Eagle Scouts. I didn't really know what an Eagle Scout was until I got into the Army. And you get in the Army and you meet some people that had this, background. And wow, these people already know a whole lot of the stuff they're trying to teach us to do in the Army. And then as I got into business, I realized the camaraderie that is really a lifetime, sort of fraternity of Scouts for sure, but in particular Eagle Scouts. So I've found business leaders who are seasoned pros and built sort of mini business empires to speak of. And the thing when they look back that they're most proud of are their Eagle Scout days. So you look at the things that the young men and I think a handful of young women, at least one in the room now, instead of Boy Scouts, it's Scouts, right? So things have changed for this organization. But I think it is impressive to see what is going on with the organization and the continuity that comes out of service. And as I listen to your opening Scout statements, I guess I will butcher them. And I remember the Ranger Creed, and I see some of the same phrases that are woven into that Ranger Creed. It reminded me of that so much that I wonder who wrote the original Ranger Creed. Was this person an Eagle Scout? So whatever you confront in your future, you're almost certainly to be well prepared for it, and that's fitting since it's part of the Boy Scout motto, right? Be prepared, or Scout motto, sorry, working on it. Scout motto. And, when I think about my lifetime of experiences, I just thought I'd share a couple things with you that initially I called cliches. And then as a parent, when my daughter got to high school, she informed me that, Dad, those are not cliches, those are sayings. Cliches are things everyone says. You have things that you say. So, okay. So I'll share a couple of them with you, and I'll just say a couple things in life. One of them, I'll start with Ranger School, because people will ask, well, what's the number one thing that you learned from Ranger School, which is, for the Army, considered, one of the top leadership development courses that you can go to. And there's a difference. There's the tab, where you go to the school, and then there's the scroll, which is the unit. And I had the good fortune to be able to do both. But the school, it is pretty intense. You've got the woodlands, the mountains, and the swamp. There used to be a desert phase, so I went through the shorter version that no longer had the desert phase. But it was still plenty intense. And at the end, I could say, looking back on it, everything you really need in life, except for people, fits in a rucksack. So you think about what fits in a rucksack. You got food, clothing, shelter, first aid, and normally you're carrying it, your weapon, security. And then, to get through the school, you can't do it alone. You've got to have people. And so a lot of the primitive things that you would pack in a rucksack or know how to use correctly, you guys are already learning in Scouts. But I think when you think about the reflection, so much in our society focuses on things and stuff, and the pursuit of more stuff, sometimes for the sake of the stuff. And the stuff is nice. I mean, I have more things than I actually need today by a lot. But when you look at it, a lot of the anxiety that comes in life is the pursuit of stuff. And it's nice sometimes to pull back and have a little bit of perspective and say, what all the stuff you actually need fits in a rut. And for the most part, you're going to be able to look with that perspective and give thanks for whatever you have. But the one thing that I've never found that you can have too much of is people. You're never going to find that you don't benefit from a bigger, stronger network of friends, associates, people who are interested in being helpful to you, and part of that is by you being helpful to them. And I think that's part of the camaraderie that you've experienced as Scouts, and that you will experience in a special way, really for your lifetime, in particular as Eagle Scouts. I'll share another one. At West Point, people say, what did you learn? And, plenty of things. They used to say it was a $250,000 education back when that was a lot of money. But it was delivered one nickel at a time. And so, when you look back on it, what did I take away? And I think one of the biggest ones was, you have to fight the battle you're actually in, not necessarily the one that you plan to be in or the one that you hoped to be in, but the one that you must fight in order to win. And this is something that Dwight Eisenhower phrased differently about the value of planning. He found planning invaluable, but the plan itself almost useless. It never survives the first contact. And we're hopefully seeing that as Vladimir Putin maybe had a plan when he was going to go into Ukraine, and the people of Ukraine have delivered a little feedback for him, and that's a good thing. I hope they are incredibly successful delivering that feedback. And so as you go about things, make sure you have plans, and then make sure that you actually understand what's going on in the situation. So some of that comes from the relationships and networks that I already talked about. The other thing is just being flexible in terms of how do you achieve your plans. So you don't have to shift your goals and be aimless. I think by this point everyone in the room's probably learned how to use a compass. And I will say, you set out on a course, and if you're really stubborn, or sometimes maybe you just don't know any other skills on navigation other than to follow the azimuth on the compass, it can be pretty hard. You wade through swamps, you break through brush, you might have to scale a cliff. But, if you learn some other tools in navigation, you can look at the terrain, read the, contour intervals on a map, bypass the really rough stuff, and then get back on course. So you want to be able to check the azimuth. You want to be able to have a plan so that you go where you're intending to go. But you do need that ability to fight the battle you're actually in to wind up where you're headed. So I don't know what your plans are after high school. I hope some of you are interested in serving our country in uniform, whether that's as I did initially, enlisting, or if it's through our service academies. One of the real joys that I get as a member of Congress is to nominate people to our service academies. And, I'm inspired because our country is truly made and kept free by an all-volunteer force. And in spite of things that people can look to and feel concerned, alarmed, or maybe even at times cynical, it's inspiring to see the caliber of young men and women who are still willing to volunteer to serve our country, particularly in uniform. There are a lot of other ways you can serve, and that's one thing that Scouts are known for, and the kind of impact you have on the community. And I guess that's the last thing. You don't have to wait for later to serve. And one of the lessons I learned in life was kind of adapted from a Teddy Roosevelt saying, do the best you can with what you have, where you are, and I guess I added to it now, which is, because a lot of times you kind of spend so much time thinking and planning, and you say, well, I'll do better next semester, or I'll do better next season, or when I get this job, or after I graduate, or what. There's always a reason to put it off. And, let's face it, I put off a little more exercise than I should have over the past COVID period, right? So knowing is one thing, but doing is the other part, right? And I just think that's the part about the now. And particularly for young people, and I would say in my life, people say, well, what was the key to get the successes? I mean, first of all, with God, all things are possible. But they're especially possible here in the United States of America, and maybe more so here in Ohio. But I will say, how did the opportunities come for the most part? It came by giving 100% to what I was doing at the time. And I didn't do that in high school, candidly. So when I was getting ready to graduate high school, September, my senior year, my high school guidance counselor says to me, "What are you going to do after high school?" And I said, "Well, I want to be an Army Ranger." And I thought that was a good answer. I knew, the answer. She looks at me and she goes, "Oh, well, you're pretty smart. I thought you would probably go to college." And I said, "Well, I thought maybe I could go to West Point, then I could be in the Army and go to college." I had no clue what it took to go to West Point. And she realized that by her expression, looking at me like I was crazy. And she goes, "Baby, that's not going to happen." Which sounds mean, but she was just being honest, right? She was just being honest. And she saw my bubble burst and she goes, "Well, you wrestled. Are they recruiting you? Like maybe there's an in if you do that?" No. So she was like, "Oh, well, okay, these are the people that usually get in." And I was like, "Yeah, that doesn't look a lot like my resume right now." And the lesson learned in that moment was you don't have to have the potential to do the work. You have to have demonstrated the potential to do the work. And I think that's the other great thing about Scouts. I'm looking out here at all these badges and tabs and emblems that you guys have, and you guys know what every one of them means, and I don't, but I can tell that you've achieved a lot of things to get them. And that gives you little milestones. As you go on in life, a lot of times they won't be so visible to others, but they also might not be as visible to you. So that's one of the hard things, is you go from specified tasks to the implied ones, and you set these little challenges that help you move on your way. But as I say, you don't have to wait for forever. You can do it now, and so many of you already are through Scouts. So it's my honor to be able to join you, and my honor to be able to congratulate you on the success you're already having, head and shoulders above so many of your peers in so many ways. And thanks for having me today. It is truly an incredible honor to serve our country in the way that I get to right now, and I just appreciate your prayers for the work that I'm doing for our country today, for the people of Ukraine. And frankly, as I look out at our state legislature, we're increasingly aware, perhaps more so in the past 2 years than at any time in a long time, how important our state government is to the policies that influence our day-to-day lives. So thanks a lot, and God bless you all.